Weathers, Thornburg, Melton, Lasovica, Gonzalez, Riley,
Howdy.
Robertson, S. Brown, Heber, Strickland, Boston, Young, Russo, Bowen, Spencer, Cabello, Mandry, Samad, Chen, Pittman, Usher, Nelson, Altendorf, Kingsbury, Jessup, King, Morris, Kelly, Hernandez, McDonald, Struble, Bender, Bonner, T. Brown, Castelleja, Fourier, Esparza, Gore, Keith, Hilton, Cleckley, Colker, Lawson, Luce, Murad, Remolona, Robert, Shutt, Scoggins, L. Sullivan, R. Sullivan, Van Dyne, Webb, M. Wilmette, K. Wilmette, Cobb, Penniman. If I pronounce any of your names wrong, just let me know after the meeting.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll move into the invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, mission statement, and core values. And Senator Strickland's going to lead us in that.
So, Father, we thank you first and foremost for this opportunity to serve this great university and serve the students we represent. I pray that you guide our decisions, guide our words. Let us speak in a manner that is worthy of you and worthy of this university. Allow our opinions to be, first and foremost, to glorify you, to glorify this university, and lastly, to glorify ourselves. Maintain the integrity of this meeting. Let us run efficiently, effectively, all for your glory. We just pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
The Texas A&M Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our university and communities through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with the core values of the institution, which are excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and self-service.
And with that, the chair has been made aware of a couple of items broken forward, beginning with Mark Womack. You have 2.5 minutes starting with
Howdy, won't take that long. Howdy. So, a lot of you, probably, I should have sent out something to Chair Hathaway, but those of you that are in the 63rd session, you got the email from Hillary today. I'll be sending out the Google Doc in just a second. Basically, for the SGA banquet tomorrow, there's going to be 27 floral arrangements that need designing, and they will be designed in this room tomorrow from 2 to 6. Kyle and I will be helping out with that. So if anybody's interested in doing floral design, we have 1-hour shifts the entire time, so just come as you want. You don't have to know anything about floral design. It's just a really great way to relax. This is not a joke for some of you looking at me strangely. It's really enjoyable. So if you're interested in that, talk to me, or if you're in the 63rd session, you can log on to, they can help you out and register on that. Amanda, is it cool if we send something out?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll forward it to Chair Hathaway, and then she'll send it out to everybody. So if you're interested in that, sign up for it. It's a really good way to help out with SGA, but also to relax and do a really fun thing. So thanks again.
Okay, next we have Colin Layden. You have 2.5 minutes starting Howdy.
Howdy. I just have something really short and brief that you may have heard about, but just want to make sure you get the word out and invite people. This Friday, the 12th Man Hall of the Memorial Student Center will be open for a day, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It will be the last time you'll be able to walk through the MSC, or for some of you, maybe the first time you've been able to walk through the MSC until it reopens next spring. Inside that 12-main hall, there's going to be floor plans of all the different floors and all the different spaces, renderings of what the building will look like from the outside and in, and then all the branding elements that will really teach you how the traditions will live on, like the 7 Congressional Medal of Honor recipients and all the name recognitions that makes the MSC a memorial. We'll also have a variety of giveaways. I think we have about 500 backpacks, 750 water bottles, pens, pencils. We'll have a banner that you can sign, and we'll be doing video shoots of people who can experience or talk about the reflections on the MSC or what they're excited about. It's an opportunity for you as students to be a part of what many of you will call your campus living room when it reopens in the spring of 2012. If you're there in the afternoon, we will have the official opening date ready to announce. So if you come after 2 o'clock, we can tell you when the MSC will be opening in 2012. We'll also have some t-shirts and a couple of other items. If you are interested in being a part of it, the way to access that is to go on the back side of the MSC or the north side, which is over by the Simpson Drill Field where the Wayner Express bus drops off and all those buses. You'll walk through there. You'll see several people in t-shirts that will be showing you that way. It'll be fenced off, and they've paved the sidewalk to get you into the 12-man hall. And you'll walk through and exit on the front side of by the rudder drop-off zone. Again, it'll be open from 8 to 5. And if you have any questions, there's a Facebook event that's going around. The battalion may be running some articles about that tomorrow. But it really is your one time to see it and experience it, and a great chance for you as students to see what it will look like and know more about it. If you all have any questions about that or anything I can answer here, awesome. Thank you guys so much, and look forward to seeing you guys Friday. There you go.
There you go. Next we have Nolan Gore. You have 2.5 minutes starting at
Howdy.
Howdy.
Nolan Gore, I'm off campus. I wanted to bring for you a little bit something I care about a lot, something that I hope we get to discuss in the future, probably next year. Before I get that, I'm a business student, and something we talk about a lot in Wayner is return on investment. And with all the budget cuts, something that A&M has had to deal with a lot is what is the return on investment we're looking for? How do we get the best return for the money that we're going to put into this university, because we're going to have to take a lot of that out. And that directly affects faculty. And so that looks like what makes the best faculty member. Is it teaching? Is it research? Is it service to this university? And that's a hot topic right now in our Texas legislature. So something that I think we need to have a voice on, and something I'm excited about, and hopefully having a part in, is what makes a good faculty member. And what do we want to see out of our faculty members? One of my favorite professors this last year was just let off. She was one of the best professors I've ever had, but she didn't have the qualifications that they wanted to stay here. So what makes a good faculty member? I don't know. I don't know if that's for us to define, but I would love for our voice to be heard as they continue this debate. So let's do that. Thank you.
Next we have Brian Davenport. You have 2.5 minutes starting at
Well, howdy.
Howdy.
All right. I just wanted to remind you guys about what I talked about in Open Forum's last meeting, that this Thursday, Greg Hall, the engineer who designed the rescue of the Chilean miners this past fall, it's this Thursday, Winter 113, starting at 7:30. So if you're going to the SGA Banquet, you go to the SGA Banquet, and then head over to Wayner and see some private footage and hear about Greg Hall and his experience saving those Chilean miners. So 7:30, Wayner 113, this Thursday. Be there. Thanks again.
Thank you. And with that, without objection, real quick, we will swear in our Student Services Chair, Thomas McNutt. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you, Oliver.
Great. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Thomas McNutt,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
To faithfully execute to the best of my ability.
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
The office of Student Services Chair.
the office of Student Services Chair
For the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
And at all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
and at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
And to promote good relations between the students
and to promote good relations between the students
and those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And with that, our first item of business, we have a special presentation by Student Health Services, and I will let them explain what that's about. It'll be a 15-minute presentation followed by 10 minutes of question and answer. And with that,
Hi. I'm Dr. Martha Dannenbaum, and I am the director for your Student Health Center, Student Health Services Department of the Division of Student Affairs. I am also a former student. I'm class of '83. That's an old ad for you guys. I'm accompanied today by two of my staff members, Mr. Randy Parker, who's one of my assistant directors over finance and business operations, and then Ms. Maury King, who you all know as Maury Frankie. She works for us and works with us, and we're really pleased to have her with us. So she's one of your own who sat in those chairs not all that long ago. Do I have a clicker? Oh, yeah. Okay, wanted to give you all a few numbers about us, and then we'll go into why we're here today. We could talk a long time about Student Health Services, but there's some specific reasons that we're here with you. As far as what we do, we put up some numbers just so that you know about how many people we see in any given year, and the breakdown between domestic and international students. We've seen about 22,500 unique students for a total of a little over 59,500 visits in a year, so probably about 2.5 visits per student, and that's about 45% of the student body. So it's not an insignificant number of people who come and use services from our health center. And we have a health education department. They provided contacts and information to over 8,500 students. We've had more than 1,500 students who've utilized our 24-hour Dial-A-Nurse program. We have an emergency medical services units that have responded to over 350 student calls. They also serve non-students, and about half of those calls are going to be for our students, so about 700 runs per year. We have 17 physicians and nurse practitioners who work at the health center. Some of them are part-time, majority are full-time. And in FY10, this is a significant number, 57% of that 22,566 people who came through our doors, 57% of those did not have any additional charges when they left the building after seeing us. These rings are good for a lot of things, aren't they? So why we're here today, and you all I'm sure know about this. If you don't, we provided you with the legislation. And this was legislation that was passed by the 63rd group last fall, and it had to do with our health fee. Our health fee is a capped health fee by the legislature, and we're close to being on top of it. And so after we did some presentations discussing our health fee with the 63rd, they made recommendations and put forth this legislation that they did not support us raising our fee cap, and rather supported us moving in a direction where we began using private insurance. That's the major part of the bill. There's other things on the back of it that are not quite so pertinent to our conversation today, but the issue about the fee cap is what we feel is pertinent. I'll talk a little bit about our current fee model. Currently, we're funded by the student fee, which everyone pays. That's $71.25 per long semester. And we also are funded by fee-for-service, which is charges that we may do for procedures and pharmaceuticals and things like that students obtain from the health center. 75% of the budget comes from the health fee. 25% comes from our fee-for-service. In order for us to increase our fee, we have to come before students. So we come before this group, we come before the Graduate Student Council, STAB, anybody who will listen to us, we come before them with that. And we get input on that. The input that we get usually is supported by upper administration. This past year, I know the Student Senate did not support our fee increase, but Graduate Student Council did support it. STAB was in support of it. And subsequently, the University Fee Committee assessed the situation, and they also were in support of that. So we're scheduled to go to $74 in FY12, which will be in September. If there is not merit for the university, that fee will only go to $72.50, because $1.50 of that was to cover merit raises from our staff. We are bound by the fee cap of $75. And this is set by the Texas State Legislature. We don't get any money from the state. We're completely funded by students, but they do control the limit of our fee. And we also do follow the same budget cut recommendations that are made. Even though we don't get state money, we do follow those recommendations. In order for us to change that cap, it has to go through the state legislature, which means someone has to sponsor legislation and carry it all the way through, just like any other bill at the state level. And we need to have student support in order to ask a legislator to take that on, because that's a big deal. And you who have dealt with issues going on in Austin understand that for us to get someone to do that, they want to make sure that they're going to have support. Well, because we didn't have support at Student Senate, there wasn't any point in us trying to take that forward in this session. So we're still sitting with a fee cap of 75, and as I said, our fee will be 74, and so we're right on top of it. And we have to make some decisions about that. So if we don't get that fee cap increased, then we have to look at how are we going to generate the revenue that we need to keep our operations at where we are. Let me talk a little bit about what we do and why we're important. We provide health care, not only when you're sick, but also wellness, preventive care, physicals for you to go work at camps. We provide laboratory services for ROTC programs, for pre-professional school, whatever people need to have done. And we have all the ancillary services that support that, which is pharmacy, laboratory, radiology, all sorts of things that are out there that support the activity of healthcare. Probably the secondary thing is the public health mission or the authority for the university. And I put it as secondary because obviously most of our time is spent taking care of people, but ensuring the public health for not only the students but also the faculty and staff is essentially my job. If there is a problem with an outbreak of any kind, I'm the one they go to. With our recent meningitis outbreak, I was the person that they went to. When we had H1N1, I got to do that. When there are bats in the dorm, I get to comment on that. When someone has lice and they're in a lab and the GA is worried about this person that's working in my lab, they call me about that. So anytime there's any kind of issue like that, that's part of what we do. And then finally, we provide health education, and not only to students, but really to the entire campus. We have 3 full-time health educators, and they are out educating about healthy lifestyles, prevention techniques, all the types of things that are appropriate for this age population. I'm going to run our video real quick. This is the video that we use for Fish Camp, and it's one that we use for Aggie Moms, and it really summarizes well what we do.
You're about to experience some of the most rewarding and sometimes challenging times of your life. And while you may not be thinking about it now, staying healthy is a key factor in doing well in school. That's where the Student Health Services stands ready to help you succeed, to stay well and do well.
So here's what you need to know. Student Health Services is a high-quality, low-cost provider of a full range of medical services dedicated to your well-being. Their staff of board-certified physicians and nurses routinely see over 350 Aggies per day. Whether it's sore throat, cold, flu, or allergies, they're here to help you stay well. If you should need it, lab and x-ray services are also available on site.
Many students frequently take advantage of an on-site pharmacy, which can fill prescriptions by either a physician at Student Health Services or your physician at home. And a quick stop by the pharmacy can take care of over-the-counter medicine needs as well.
To help you stay well, Student Health Services is conveniently located near the center of campus, next to Fish Pond. Whether you ride the bus, bike to class, or just walk up, they are here to meet your needs. You can find their location online at shs.tamu.edu.
It's easy and convenient to schedule appointments that work with your schedule, so you don't have to miss class or work. You can call and make an appointment, but many students find it easy to schedule appointments online, especially at 3 a.m. when you're feeling sick. The walk-in appointments are always available if something unexpected comes up during the day.
Student Health Services is unique in that they provide services beyond basic medical care. A women's health clinic with dedicated providers is available to meet your individual women's health needs, such as annual exams and contraception. Our preventive medicine clinic can administer allergy shots and immunizations. If you're traveling abroad or attending a summer camp, they offer travel consultations, immunizations, and physicals to help you stay well on your journey.
If an accident or intramural injury sidelines you, licensed physical therapists can help you get back on your feet. Certified health education specialists are available for one-on-one consultation if you're worried about your diet, want to quit smoking, or other personal health needs. And to keep you informed, you'll find health education programs and events throughout the year all over campus.
So now you're an Aggie and a part of this great Aggie family.
And whether you're a freshman or a graduate student,
You'll always have a place to go when you're not feeling so well.
everybody at Student Health Services wishes you good luck on your journey at Texas A&M.
They're right here for you.
On campus and online.
So have fun.
Study hard.
And remember, stay well.
And do well.
See you, Aggies.
So that's the quick overview of what we do, and this is that was our new website as well that Mari worked very hard on redesigning and getting up for us. So as I say, she's been a great asset to us. The last slide I have here is sort of a pictorial that will let you know what we're going to be faced with at that 75 cap. This is going to show you what our fee increase has been over the last 10 years. And the average is about a 3.7% annual increase. There are some years that we were flat for a variety of reasons. Some was that we were asked to keep the fees flat. And then there were some times when we had a big jump because we were also asked to take on predominantly paid EMS staff. That's the big reason that we had a big jump 2 years in a row. But over the last several years, we've pretty much been stable at that 3 to 4% increase. So if you continue on that trend, which we would expect it would, and keep it in perspective, the cost of healthcare is increasing at a 6 to 8% or higher rate of annual inflation. So we're well below that. We know the prices are going to go up to do things that we do. So if our fee cap is at 75, and we're at 74, and we know it's going to continue to go up, by 2020, which is essentially 8 years from now, we would be looking at a $100 health fee. And so if we're still at $75, we would have to make up the $25 per student that we would otherwise be getting in fee. And that's where we come up with the question of, okay, well, how are we going to do that if we don't get the fee increase? Because we may not. It may never happen. And if it doesn't happen, okay, we're not going to fold up our tent and go away. We're going to continue doing what we do, but we will have to find a different source for that revenue. And the primary source for that is likely to be the students who use the service. Again, if you'll remember back on my early slide, 57% of our students leave the building with no additional charges. Well, if you're going to generate income, you've got to charge for what you do. So what will occur is charges will be added, whether it's an office visit fee of $10, $15, $20, whether it's we go to a complete model like every other clinic does where we file insurance, collect insurance, bill for everything we do just like any other clinic does. That's another way to generate revenue. But at some point, we're going to come to that. And I think we need to be prepared for that. I need students to understand that may happen because I don't want them to be surprised. And that's why we're here now, because this could happen as early as next fall if we need to do it. And you all need to know about it before we get back in the fall. And that's essentially why we're here today. We want your input, we want your feedback, and it's not just for today, it's a continuing process that we need to have students aware of what's going on. Mari, Randy, do you have anything to add?
I would just say that we definitely have an open door policy. So if any of you have any questions or don't really understand certain things, we're more than happy to talk to you. I was sitting in your chair not too long ago, and I definitely wish that I would have gathered more information than I had, because now that I'm on the other side of the fence, I'm realizing how complex a lot of these issues are. And so we're more than happy to meet with any of you, to talk to you if you have questions. If you have concerns, we're more than happy to address them. So please feel free to contact me or Dr. Dannerbaum. We definitely have an open door policy. And just know that your job is important. So the university listens to you. Obviously, if we're looking at possibly changing our model in accordance with student opinion, your opinion matters. So just make sure that you know that. You're not just sitting in a chair. You're actually making decisions for the university. So take that very seriously. Talk to a lot of students. Talk to a lot of administrators. Get to know the university. And I think you'll really find that you'll enjoy your time here in Senate.
So I'm open for questions at this point.
This is a 10-minute question and answer period. It would be in order to motion to extend this if you also choose. So anyways, first up we have Senator Gore.
Yes, ma'am. What if we were going to approve increasing the cap, what would you propose it be increased to?
I think it should be increased to 150. And you have to remember there's a difference between a fee and a fee cap. A fee cap, just extending the fee cap to 150 gives us options. The thing you need to remember too is we'll never get there unless students want it to get there. We've written into all of this is if we get beyond a 10% collective increase, we have to go before students to get approval. So if you never want me to go beyond $78, I'm not going. I can't. I have to have student support to do that. So the cap is just a roof, a ceiling that we can't go to, or we can go to it, but then beyond that we have to do something different. Now this cap, the 75, it's actually been at 75 for 15 years. It used to be 15. And so it went to 75 about 1996. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Okay, next we have Senator Russo.
Hi, Chris Russo, College of Engineering. Last session I served as the Student Services Chair and I presided over this legislation and was in a lot of meetings. Basically, last session, the 63rd session, we passed this bill unanimously that addressed this very issue. What have you all done this past year in order to try and implement the plan set forth by this bill?
Well, we haven't really had to implement anything. We're prepared to do it. We have the personnel, we have everybody in place that knows how to do all these things. All we have to do is put the charge on there. Just say, okay, instead of this being no charge, we're now going to charge whatever we need to charge. We already have the ability to file insurance for people. We have the ability to collect insurance payments on certain plans. We're not in network on any plans at this point in time, and we may or may not go in network. Sometimes going in network is not to the benefit of the patient to do that. But really, there's not a whole lot we have to do other than get the blessing, obviously, from the Vice President's office to proceed with something like that. But beyond that, we're ready.
Brief follow-up.
In the interest of time, I'll come back to you if we can. We have quite a few. Next, we have Senator Bowman.
Scott Moe, College of Engineering. So you mentioned earlier that in order to raise this fee cap, it would take an act of the Texas legislature. Is there any legislation in the Texas legislature currently pending that would do that?
No, there is not. It would have to be added into something. There'd have to be someone who was willing to support that and tack it on to another piece of legislation that was moving through. So at this point in time, there is nothing that is speaking to our fee cap.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Chair Thornburg.
Rachel Thornburg, College of Ag and Life Sciences. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
If you guys do begin to use a complete model, do you foresee that fee continuing to increase, even though you have all that money coming in from insurance?
It may increase. It may continue to increase slightly. What we'll know is as soon as you go to a model where you begin to charge, say we're charging nothing now, and now we're going to go and we're going to charge what they charge out in the real market world, which is $125 for that service. And we start collecting that. We're going to collect that. We'll have a windfall for probably 1 to 2 years. But that's not going to continue to increase. The insurance companies, if anything, they kind of squeeze you down a little bit on that. And of course, if you go in network with them, you agree to take less than what you actually charge for that. So the fee may not increase very much. It's very unlikely that it could decrease. And there's a lot of models and scenarios we could give you that would show that's pretty complicated to do that. And when we've done it with people, we typically sit down with them and do it and say, okay, we're going to work through this and let you and show you that. Randy has done a lot of work on that as our finance person, and so he may be able to speak to it better than I can. But
well, all I can say is that there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of variables, and it kind of depends on the behavior of the clients. And you made a comment which is pretty typical, is well, with the insurance, all the money goes in. It's really, the students are paying it one way or the other. And as Dr. Danbaum said, once you start collecting with the insurance, and kind of follow up on your question, we started talking to insurance companies, they start limiting what they're going to pay. So we could say, okay, well, we've got a $65 office, they may only send us $30. We don't really know. It depends on who files, what insurance companies they have. We don't know whether we start charging an office visit if we lose half of our volume, or we lose 2/3 or 3/4. So try to run some Excel spreadsheets trying to predict what will happen. But there's really no way to know for sure. And that's part of what we're here. We're not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. We're trying to accommodate what the students want. But we need to start informing, just say what we've done. We're starting to gear up thinking, okay, well, this has happened. Let's go through the legislature we can right now. And if we go forward, some things are going to happen, and the students are going to need to know about it. It's actually by surprise.
And that's the thing. We don't want people to be blindsided by this. Some people will still be blindsided by it, as you know. Some people don't know things are going on around here. But if we can get to enough students like you all, like other student groups, people who have an interest and who get it and understand what we're talking about, that's going to work well for us moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Senator Jessup.
Mark Jessup, Liberal Arts. You had mentioned that if the fee cap is not increased, you may have to resort to having students pay per visit. What are the disadvantages for having the students that use the service pay for it?
The disadvantage is that many of them may not be able to afford that. Many of them struggle right now. You may not recognize that, or you may be one of the ones that struggle. That you're trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my $10? Am I going to eat, or am I going to go get looked at for my sore throat? So there may be people who choose not to get care, and that bothers me, because if they're going to be paying a health fee, I want them to be able to come in. That's been the advantage of this, is they can come in and be evaluated and receive care at little or no cost. And so it's like a kind of safety net for many of those people. We have some that are insured who really don't have a whole lot of excess income to even pay a small copay for an office visit. And then there's the population that's totally uninsured, that they're somewhat at the mercy. So those are the biggest disadvantages I see for it. You know, from our standpoint, it creates a little bit more paperwork and stuff, but it's not insurmountable to do that. It's something that we all know how to do. But on the student end, it's an increased out-of-pocket cost for the student.
We have 2.5 minutes remaining, and we have a lot of people left, so Chair will entertain a motion to extend question and answer by 10 minutes. So moved. I see a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Okay, we're continuing with Senator Mark Womack.
Howdy. I think I speak for everyone when I thank you for being proactive in your communication with students instead of retroactive, so we appreciate that. I touched on this a little bit with Senator Jessup's question, but I just kind of want to reiterate. The idea, obviously, of charging for a fee, it's a pretty simple transaction. We can kind of understand the pros and cons of that. But with the insurance question, and I mean, none of us are probably insurance experts, what would be the possibility of, would it be possible for a student that has insurance to be charged and then a student that doesn't have insurance not to be charged? Is that equitable? Is that legal? Is that possible?
It's not legal.
Yeah, I can't do it.
It's one of those little minor details that you can't differentially charge based on insurance status. However, you can have policies within your organization that deal with the medically indigent. So you have to decide what are your criteria for calling somebody medically indigent. We have some latitude because we have students that pay health fees. Can we do something different on the back end? On the front end, everybody gets charged this, but because they're a student, because of this, because of that, they're only going to pay this much. As long as you apply those policies universally across your organization, you're going to stay out of jail. I like you guys, but I really don't want to go to jail for you.
Next we have Chair McNutt.
Howdy, Thomas McNutt, Liberal Arts. I'm aware that we passed a bill opposing the raise in the fee cap in the 63rd session. It was approved by the Senate, the student body president, and the governor agreed as well. And so my question is that I understand that y'all's solutions are, well, we might have to charge in different ways now. Are there any considerations of cuts on the other end to decrease how much it costs to do what you do, or maybe decrease what you offer, as opposed to just charging more? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense, and it's a pretty complex answer to that.
Sure.
We are fairly lean as it is now as far as what it is we spend to do what we do. Mm-hmm. That could be a rather extensive conversation, so I don't really want to get into those details. Ideally, we don't want to cut services, and that is an option. You know, if we can't raise, if we can't generate enough revenue to continue to offer everything, you know, perhaps we go to a laboratory that is not a full laboratory, but perhaps it's just a draw site. Maybe we don't replace a physical therapist. If a physical therapist is leaving, we only go down to one. Perhaps if we don't want to have specialists come over, we don't assist with funding of specialists coming over. Most of the programs that we've been doing since I came on as director, I was real intentional about if we had add-on things like specialty clinics or extra services that weren't kind of in the core of we need to take care of these people, those ought to be cost neutral. So if we have orthopedists come in to see students, the revenue generated from that should meet the expenses that come from that group. And we're pretty close. We've really tightened that down and looked at how much do you charge the student using that. Because if you never need an orthopedist, you probably don't want to be funding the you need them. And for a while, I think there was an element of that money from other students was being used to pay for some of these other things. And I felt pretty strongly that those things need to be cost neutral. Randy has something to add to that.
We do what you ask all the time. We constantly look at it, and a lot of this comes from the private sector is looking at the business. And we're making decisions all the time about staffing. Most of our costs are staff because you've got highly trained medical staff. We've got some students saying we can't get appointments. We think we try to manage that constantly. So trying to keep the staff we have, and if we have somebody leave, we really need to make a position right now about trying to decide where to replace that. We've had some nurses we will replace them with some lower level nursing assistants. So we're constantly looking at, we try to maybe add a little bit more for our prescriptions, our labs, so that's paid for. But then when we do that, then we start losing business. So it's kind of a puzzle. But we don't sit static in these moments.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, both Randy and I came from the business side of this. I spent 15 years running a private practice. So I know what it feels like. I like to eat, so you have to work to make it.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next we have Chair Barber.
Yes, ma'am. Drew Barber, Community Relations. Thank you again for coming to the Senate. Thank you for your proactive approach. It's the only way to go about things, in my humble opinion. With Scott and White coming in here, and they've been aggressive in their approach. What's y'all's relationship like with them? How do you move forward with their aggressive approach?
With Scott and White, we actually have a relationship with their lab. They are our reference lab that we work with. And we do refer students to Scott and White if they need specialty care. If someone has Scott and White insurance and they're going to need to have some things done for them that they're going to cost more if they haven't done with us, we help them get to somebody over there. So we have a very collegial relationship with them. I in no way feel threatened by them at all. I think we've got an excellent organization and a good group of doctors, and so we work in collaboration with them. And I don't feel their aggressiveness. I don't sense any of that. They're a different niche than what we are.
Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Senator Pittman.
Hi, we're in general studies. What are the disadvantages of accepting private insurance?
Well, it's kind of back to Senator Jessup's question. What's the disadvantage of charging for things? It's the same issue as that not everybody has insurance, and then not everybody who has insurance has good insurance. And so the people who have good insurance that pays really well for their things are going to get care preferentially because they can afford it. They only have to pay $20, whereas another person who has an insurance plan from Utah that, oh, I'm sorry, you have to pay $5,000 before you're going to get any benefits from your insurance. Well, they may pay $200 for what the other person over here paid $20. So from the standpoint of the client, of the person who's seeking services, it's great if you have good insurance, but it's not so great if you don't have good insurance. And I've seen that in some of our health science center students. They are required to have insurance, but some of them have bought the least expensive thing they can find that has a $1,000 deductible and it doesn't pay for preventive services. And so when they're trying to make a decision, this month do I pay that insurance premium that I don't really use anyways, or do I get groceries? They're obviously going to get groceries, and so they end up not keeping their insurance. They let it lapse because it just doesn't help them. So people then choose to make their decisions based on whether they have insurance or not.
Thank you.
Next we have Senator Sullivan, Lindsay Sullivan.
Senator Lindsay Sullivan on campus. How do schools of comparable size to Texas A&M fund all of their programs?
It's variable. I can tell you within the Big 12, almost everybody, with the exception of Baylor, has some sort of a health fee. UT has, theirs is embedded in their student service fee, so they don't have that dedicated fee anymore. I know that Texas Tech charges an office visit fee, and I believe that's 10, and it may have gone up to 15. Oklahoma State charges an office visit of 7, I think. And I believe UT is also charging one starting next year. So most of them are moving that way. I have some colleagues at Texas State, and they're also moving that way, where they're going to start charging individual office visits. And there's some value to that. You're going to generate some revenue from that. And some people have the theory that, well, if you charge $15, they may not just come in for a class note. Well, if they really want a class note, they're going to come in and pay $15 for the class note. That's my thinking about it. But I don't like the thought of having to charge for something that may be a deterrent for people to get care. But can we do it? Absolutely, we can do it. Is it a way to generate revenue? Absolutely, it is. We know how to do it. We can do it, but we want to make sure it's a well thought out process, and we understand who it may affect.
Thank you.
Next we have Senator Strickland.
Sherman College Education. Thank you once again for coming. I'm sorry, I'm no expert in the field, nor do I have any knowledge field. Sorry if this is a dumb question. But other than charging students for offices, are there any other avenues to raise revenue for the Health Services Center, as far as like getting subsidizing from the state or getting sponsorship from drug companies to sponsor one drug or another one? Is there any other avenues to do that?
Yeah, we do have limitations because we are a state entity who we enter into relationships with. If somebody with a lot of money dies and wants to give it to me, I'd be real happy about that. Not that they died, but that they gave me a lot of money. That is a way. That's how a lot of the things on our campus do get funded, is through private donation. But other than that, there's really not a good way to generate a lot of revenue. Randy, do you have anything to add to that as far as your knowledge from the business side? Yeah, we really can't get in bed with insurance. With drug companies. That's not a good way to go. There's a lot of federal limitations on that as well, and we really don't want the state funding us either.
We have about 2 minutes, and we still have a number of questions, so I'm going to entertain a motion again to extend debate or question and answer by another 10 minutes. So moved, seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Opinion of the chair, that fails. With that, we'll move on to Senator Powell now.
You're underselling yourself, Doc. I paid $50 for some notes.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Powell, off campus. As per the brief conversation we had earlier today, can you talk about some of the commitments you're making for future conversation and communication with this and other bodies about decisions before they get made in the process?
Well, as we talked earlier today, I think it's very important that our students understand what we're doing and then why we're doing it, not just that we're doing it because we think it's a good idea. And what I've realized, and I've been in this position for not quite 3 years, and so there's a little bit of a learning curve with this. And when I first came on, I was just told, okay, well, we go talk to Student Senate here. I was like, okay, what are we talking to them about, and figuring out, we were always almost a couple of months behind where we needed to be. I really needed to be telling you in September what I was telling you in October. Or I needed to be telling you in April or May, what we were telling you in October. Because you all are going to be helping us in making some decisions about how we do that. So, as Mari said, we are very open to have conversations with anybody who wants to. And we've made some efforts at that, but people are busy. Students are busy, we're busy. But we're committed to making ourselves available. If small groups want to come in and visit with us, if we want to do a large group thing with, sodas and cookies, we can do that. I'm happy to sit down and talk with people. And you've got to kind of get into the down and dirty with this and start crunching numbers and figuring out, well, if I do this, then this is going to happen. Well, what about this? It's like working a puzzle. And so we're very committed to that. We want to come before you on a consistent basis. We want to be available to you. We want you to understand, because you all are the ones that pay for this. I work for you. You pay my salary. So it's important that the clients, the students, the patients, whatever you want to call you all, that they have input and they understand what they're picking when they make the decision. And that's part of why we wanted to come forward with this, because even though we can't go do anything about a fee cap right now, 2 years from now we may want to do it, but there may be different people here. There will be different people here. And so having the conversation with you all, now, several times next year perhaps, the following year when we start moving into that next legislative session, we may want to do it. We want to have the opportunity to do it. And we really never had the opportunity this time to take it on. We just got behind. We got behind.
Thank you. And with that, time for question and answer has expired, so let's thank our And with that, we will now move into executive council confirmations.
I'm just like, a little bit. Yeah, you be I watch it online. I do like over here.
Okay, before we begin, so we have the timing here is 10 minutes for presentation, 5 minutes for Q&A, and 15 minutes for debate per candidate. At the advice of Chair Bain, the chair will entertain a motion to make it 5 minutes of question and answer per candidate, because 5 minutes is not a lot of time for this many candidates. So do I see that motion? I see that motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. Okay, if you can show that passes. So with that, you have 10 minutes starting at howdy, sir.
All right. Well, howdy. Howdy. I'm going to be brief because I'm bringing 5 outstanding appointees for these different positions. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So we'll go ahead and start with Senator Womack.
Howdy, I'm Kyle Womack, class 2011. Hey. And just real briefly to summarize things I'm excited about doing student services. I've had a couple meetings with Chair McNutt, hammering out some basic goal setting strategies. Haven't got real down into the dirty policy yet. A lot of that's going to be coming from my boss, the Executive Vice President Ryan Davenport, as well as you all and the Student Services Committee. I feel like McNutt and I are really on par as far as what we want to do and how we want to achieve it. But if any specific questions about my ideas or my agenda, please let me know in question and answer. Thanks again.
Howdy. Howdy. My name is Kyle Jackson. I'm a junior accounting major, and I'm excited to be appointed to the position of election commissioner. And so throughout this, my goal and what I want to do, what I'm thrilled about doing is working with SGA and also to making the election procedures more transparent and also more user-friendly for not only SGA but also for candidates all across the university that want to join SGA. So I think that's one of the most important things of election commission. Being on election commission last year allowed me to gain a lot of insight into that and to how to make the procedures better so that everyone benefits across campus. So.
Howdy.
Howdy. Bryce Bender, a junior industrial distribution major from Tyler, Texas. More importantly, I'm the proudest member of the Phi Tech A class of 2012. Hey! Woo! It's an honor for me to be appointed by SPP Pickering for the position of Vice President of Legislative Relations. One of my main goals here is to start the process for reforming the student service fee allocation process, which is a state issue, so it has to take a lot of work. We're going to do things a little differently than last year. They've confirmed just because starting off, the Texas legislature is not going to be in session, and I really want to continue a good working relationship with Chair Nidegger and all of the senators here in order that we have two heads working towards one issue and get things across the board.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Chris Lesher. I am a junior geophysics major in the class of 2012.
Hey.
I have been appointed as Vice President for Academic Affairs. I served in this position last year as a student advocate for Academic Affairs, and I'm super excited to continue in this position. This year, I'm focusing on continuing to build relationships with Senate, with the entirety of SGA, with the students and the faculty and administration as well. So.
Howdy, guys.
Howdy.
My name is Daniel Gutierrez. I have been honored with the privilege to possibly serve as Vice President for Diversity if you guys so choose so. But I'm here because I'm passionate about diversity. I'm passionate about enhancing perspectives, bringing different voices to the table, because here at SGA we make decisions for the whole student body. We make decisions on what their opinions are. So I really think that it's essential for SGA and for the university that we move forward to a more unified and more transparent voice where everybody gets heard. So thanks again, you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Your motion. I think we've got 7 minutes. 6.5. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well, just real briefly, I wanted them to be able to introduce themselves so you'd be able to hear their voice so that when you ask a question and answer, you won't be surprised. So anyways, I just want to introduce them really quick and then also give just kind of a brief about why I appointed the 5 of these awesome people to the different roles that I've appointed them to. So first, we'll start with one of your own, Senator Womack, hopefully soon to be Vice President of Student Services. Womack, now that's a title. Well, first and foremost, I mean, look at the way he dresses. That's a joke. But, I mean, it's nice, but that's a joke. That's not the reason. The reason was Kyle came in for his student service interview. First of all, everybody that I've appointed scored very highly on our blind rubric that myself, Chief of Communication Chris Tucker, Chief of Staff Becca Gold, and Executive Vice President Ryan Davenport all graded the applications of everybody who applied, and those who got a high enough number relative to the other applicants in their position got interviews. So all of their applications were phenomenal, from effectiveness of what they plan to do, and also to the vision of how that can better unify Texas A&M, and that's what we're going to be about. Is my team this upcoming year and as student government as a whole is unifying this campus. So first, with hopefully to be Vice President Womack, he really came forward with some amazing, really, I would call them like tangible goals. And his excitement and his passion for student services and his drive to go out and get things done and to really connect with administrators on a professional level, but also a very, I'm not afraid to talk to you about this level. Mr. Womack absolutely does that, and I look forward to the relationship that he and your student service chair, McNutt, already have. It's almost a little scary how close they already are, and that's going to be awesome this upcoming year. So, and then also we'll move on to my appointee for the election commissioner, Mr. Kyle Jackson. Kyle said something in his interview that absolutely sold me that he was the election commissioner for this upcoming year. He said, the integrity of student government is at the heart of the election commission. That's what election commission is about. You are all, and I just got done with this fab presentation about student government, and this is something I said, the thing that makes student government unique amongst every other organization of students on our campus is the fact that our leadership, from my office to your offices, is elected by a campus-wide election. That's unique. We are not just another student organization. We are every current student's representation. Kyle understands that that's an important part of the election commission. And I really look forward to what he's going to be able to do as far as how we're going to be able to reform the election commission. He's talked about getting, we're going to look at possibly doing online, I want to call it registration, but
Online enrollment registration.
exactly, or
fees.
filing. That's it, filing. Possibly doing online filing because there's a lot of people in this room that had to file, plus a whole lot of others who aren't in your seats, who don't have the privilege to be in the student senate. And so he's talking about doing online filing. It's really some great innovative ideas for election commission reform. Moving on to one of your own again, Senator Bender, soon hopefully to be Vice President of Legislative Relations. Bender. He came forward to his interview and absolutely blew us out of the water. He has a strategic plan, which I believe we have a few copies. Are they circulating yet? Okay, wonderful. Those are circulating. There we go. Senator Jessup has one. So you can see in his strategic plan, awesome plans for how we can build relationships and really prep our state legislature for what's next in the future. Because as you know, we're in an off year this upcoming year. So prepping our legislature, writing bills to give to state legislators saying this is where student opinion is headed. Bryce is the guy to do that, and please take a look at his strategic plan. It was absolutely amazing, and so that's why I'm excited to bring him to you tonight for confirmation. Moving over here to another one of your own, Senator Usher, or Crusher, as we like to call her, Crystal Usher. She is currently was currently serving under SVP Robinson as the student advocate for academic affairs. And so now all these positions are titled vice president for, and so now I brought her back on the team to be vice president for academic affairs. And I'm really excited for Krista because she spent a year working very closely with Chair Esparza this past year of academic affairs. And they really got some amazing things done, from tons of work with the Provost's office, with Chancellor McKinney's office about looking at S-rate and how students can be better represented there, to meeting with department heads and deans all across, and her confidence to go into those meetings and to advocate for our students is exactly what we need in Vice President of Academic Affairs.
Minute and a half.
And the reason that I talked about kind of the title change is because all of my vice presidents will have teams of student advocates working with them, because there's roughly 75 senators giving just a few people stuff to go advocate what they give us. And so I consider it a promotion from the role that she served this year to being a vice president of academic affairs, leading a team of student advocates, because she's been there, done that, and she's going to do another awesome job this year. Moving on to our final vice president of diversity, Dan Gutierrez. One of the reasons that I was so excited to appoint him is because I knew how much he cared about this. He doesn't think about diversity as the way a lot of people think about it. When that term diversity is thrown out, it's like a smoke bomb goes off in the room and everybody's like, what does that mean? I don't know. Dan knows what that means. Dan knows that diversity simply is a privilege. Learning how people are different than you and learning that their experiences are just as valid as your experiences is very important. Dan's family, I hope that you had a chance, maybe in the meet and greet that we started at 6 tonight, I hope that you maybe had a chance to talk to him and hear about his family and the very diverse background that his mom and dad come from. And in his interview, he told us a story about they were with their cousins over, in Europe somewhere, gallivanting around, I guess. And when I called Dan to appoint him for Vice President of Diversity, he went, "Oh my God, are you serious?" He was so excited. And so I'm really, really, really excited to have him leading our diversity efforts and leading this conversation on diversity that says diversity is simply viewing other people's experiences as valid because that's made them who they are, and we are the Aggie family, and you are just as important as me, and I'm just as important as any other Aggie. And so that's what Dan sees in diversity, and this is an awesome team. And now we'll move into a time of question and answer.
Great, good time. So this will be 5 minutes per candidate, and we'll begin with Kyle Mack. Do I see any questions? Any questions for Senator Wood? Not one. Senator Struble?
Struble off campus. In talking to you before, you talked about how much you wanted to get back into Senate after not doing it last year. You said you'd applied for vacancy several times, and now you got back in. So I guess I just kind of question, how can we know that you're committed to this position? Since you just got Senate and you're already moving on to something else, how do we know that you're committed to staying with this?
Oh, to staying with the new position of Vice President. Right. I don't really see it as a commitment to Student Senate.
I see the commitment to student government is probably the best way to describe it. I mean, I applied for a vacancy in student senate last year multiple times after taking the year, or after leaving for the year, because it was a position that was available. There just weren't any openings on exec staff. When I had that opportunity been available, I probably would have tried for that opportunity as well. But I don't think of it as a student senate or exec council. It's really just student government, your commitment to serve students via this. And it's just the way I felt like, especially working with Jeff and the team, the way I can make the best difference for people.
Okay, next we have Senator Strickland.
Michael Strickland, Education. Kyle, what are you most excited for?
So excited for changing stuff, like just getting stuff done on a daily basis. Like that's the best thing about student services. There's so many ways you can directly connect with students on campus and just make your day like that. And if they don't ever know it's student government, that's fine. We got plenty of people that can do brand recognition for student government. That's fine. But just daily stuff that can make student life better at Texas A&M, that can make the university better. Like, how can you not get fired up about that? Like, I'm seriously have goosebumps just getting pumped up about it. Like, there's going to be a lot of high-fiving in student services this year. We're talking right now. But anyway, I'm most excited about just changing the daily life of students and students, right? Via students.
Okay, next we have Chair Barber.
Yeah, Drew Barber, CR. What were the shortcomings of... That was really cool to say, by the way. I was opposed last week. That's cool. What were the shortcomings of Oliver Toma last year, and what are you looking forward to change?
I wouldn't say that Toma had. Everybody has shortcomings. Let me just preface this out real quick. Everybody can do something better. Sorry, Clyde is really in style this season. Anyway, but I'd probably say as an objective outside observer, having a better working relationship with student senate, specifically the chair, Chris Russo. I think that I've seen the most effectiveness when I see people working closely together. My brother and Colin back in the 61st, Crystal and Chris. Like when people work together and don't worry so much about the division of the work, they get more done. And I've had a couple meetings with Collins about this, and that's really what our philosophy is. Like there's work and we're going to do it. VP and chair aside, like there's a problem and let's solve it, kind of thing. So I'd probably say out of all the things, I'd probably like to improve on that this year.
Next Senator Bowman.
Scott Bowman, College of Engineering. Last year in student services, there was an incident where the student advocate for student services, as it was called then, issued a memo to an administrator basically approving of a controversial plan for mandatory meal plans before bringing it to student senate. So can we have a commitment for that if any
I already know exactly what
issues come up, then they will be communicated to the chairs?
No, not controversial issues, just issues. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I don't have a whole lot of specifics and plans because I haven't been given them yet. I mean, you guys know my background. I'm a senator. You guys set the agenda. I mean, I'll basically say it like this. I try through my boss's orders, Jeff and Davenport, to set the tone and set our issues and set our legislative agenda. But you ultimately decide. I can't go against that. I'm just not going to. And I know Jeff and I know Ryan, they're not going to tell me to. I'm going to try and shape that to what our views are, what my ideas are, my personal touch on that. But as far as the finalized agenda, I mean, I have no control. I can lobby you guys, but that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we have no more questions. I'll give it just a second. Going once, going twice. Oh, Senator McDonald.
Yes, this one is directed at Mr. Womack. Where did you get this impressive suit that you're wearing?
Joseph McMahon.
Come on anytime. Incidentally, where this pen came from, apparently. I don't know how that we have 1 minute remaining for any
non-fashion-related questions. You're all dressed wonderfully tonight.
And going once, going twice. That closes question and answer. We will now go on to Kyle Jackson for Election Commissioner. Do I see Chair Thornburg?
Chair Thornburg, College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. After this past year and the turmoil we had with social networking, what are your ideas and thoughts on how you want to change the monitoring process of social media?
Well, last year, we didn't monitor social media at all. A lot of people did not like that. A lot of people did. We took that approach last year because it was honestly really too difficult of an idea for all of us to control, to try and see what infractions that were being made. My thoughts on online media, I do agree a lot with the whole monitoring, but I think there's some things that are not monitoring, but I think there's some things that are absurd in the sense of mass messages that need to be maintained. I know for myself, I wouldn't want to be receiving them. So I can only imagine for every other student across campus, they don't want to be receiving them as well. And I think a lot of that, there are certain regulations that need to be put on mass messaging or also different types of solicitation on Facebook or Twitter or another type of account.
Okay, next, Senator Murad.
Sitting here off campus. I was just wondering what kind of plans you had to increase voter turnout and to kind of increase students' awareness of how important it is to come out and vote.
Well, first of all, for voter turnout, preface that we had about 13,000 students vote last year. Looking to want to increase, at least to 18,000, maybe 20,000. So, I think with more students, more student voices, you have a more reflective student government association. So, for increasing the student turnout for voting, I think we should implement a type of idea going back to Gig the Vote campaign, whether it's through T-shirts, just walking around campus, just making that known, also through Facebook advertisement, Twitter advertisements, stuff like that, to make sure that students know that's going on. Because last year, being over on West Campus for a lot of the time, I would talk to people and say, are you going to vote? And a lot of people, honestly, with campaign banners going around, still didn't know when voting dates were. And I think it's pertinent that we advertise those voting days so that we make sure that the mass amount of students are going to be partaking in the elections.
Chair Barber?
Yeah, Drew Barber, CR. Just kidding. Thank you so much for doing this job, because honestly, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. What do you view the role of the battalion going forward in these next elections? That was, in my opinion, the biggest problem this year. So what would you say going forward next year?
So about how we're going to handle with
Well, there's the whole issue of the whole free speech political theory debate that went on and just way over my head. So what would you do going forward?
Well, I think a lot of the controversy that happened in the battalion last year was a failure to maybe understand rules and regulations, that the things that we have in place are there for the protection of all candidates. That so one candidate does not get an unfair advantage over another. And so a lot of things were misconstrued. There was a lot of statements that were made that it was not taking the full truth of it. So my goal with the battalion is that just basically to increase relations, to make sure that the election commission is transparent, that not only the election commission know the election rules and regulations, but also that every candidate running knows the rules and regulations, and people who are going to be involved in the election process knows them as well. And I think that's going to come from increased transparency through the election commission, but also just understanding from the student body as well, that we can do quite a bit to make it transparent, but there needs to be some give and take on both sides. And I think especially with the battalion, that there needs to be those increased relations, but also just a full understanding of why the election commission is here, and it's to preserve, the integrity and the morality of the Student Government Association, so that everybody in the Student Government Association represents what the student body wants.
Thank you, sir.
We have about 1 minute remaining. We're only halfway through the list, so I'll hear any motions. Senator Harris.
I move to extend question and answer by 10 minutes.
So moved. I see seconds. Do I? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, if you need to show that passes, we're extended to a 15-minute period. And I'm sorry, that was Chair Harris. Chair Bain.
Chair Bain, off campus. Someone told you never create a rule that you can't enforce. What would you say is the most one of the rules inside the election regulation that is unenforceable and that therefore causes just idiocracy, honestly?
I was going to think about that for a second. I think a lot of it is with, a lot of it has to do with campaign locations, but also with how the campaign materials are being distributed. There's not a way for us to stand at a door and make sure that a candidate is obeying all instructions. You can go through, and especially with the Dorms and Residence Hall Association, that they can have a lot of flyers that are thrown, into people's rooms that don't want them or thrown all over the ground. But we're not there to be able to monitor that. We can see the side effects of it, and we can see afterwards that people are not happy with it, or we can see them laying on the ground. However, that would, I think, be one of the biggest things that we cannot enforce, that going to to find out a way if there's, some method that we can work with RHA to establish where we don't have to worry about that as much, because there wasn't a way really to enforce that last year. And we're going into it, we're going to be looking at trying to fix that.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair Thornburg.
As far as the tiering system of fines goes, do you have any ideas of blasting all of them in so it's strict, or are you just going to go with the way a lot of people perceive the last election commissioner doing?
Well, the tier of the fines are based because of different offenses, of course, the severity of the offense, but also how many times it occurs. So if you have something can be a tier 1, but if you have multiple tier 1s, you can establish a tier 2. While I think the tier 1 or the tier system is a good representation of how to enforce it, I don't necessarily agree with just kind of the arbitrary amount of the range. I think there needs to be a stricter range associated with that. And a lot of that was within as director of finance, I kind of looked over a lot of the fines when it was put onto, when I received them, and I would also put them onto the expense reports to make sure budgeting and everything. But I think the tier system works, but I think it needs to be revamped, that it's a lot, like you said, stricter, and that there's not as wide of a range for, from maybe a tier 2 spanning from $1 to $50 or, like that. It needs to be more compact in that there's not much leeway in saying that, oh, well, I think this is severe, so let's charge a certain amount, when it might not be in the whole grand scheme of things as severe as we may perceive.
Chair Harris?
Chair Harris, constituency affairs. You mentioned a while ago about West Campus, and you were on West Campus, and a lot of people weren't actively engaged in voting, didn't know anything about it. Do you think we could put a polling spot on West Campus?
Last year we looked at polling locations. For the commission our size, you would, for last year we had roughly about 8 to 10 members at a certain point. You'd have to have a lot more individuals to man that one polling station, that you don't have people pulling individuals over to sign in and to vote themselves. So you'd have to have someone monitoring that location at all times. So if you only put one over at West Campus, is that right to not have one somewhere on main campus? And so pulling different people from election commission to do that all day would be difficult. It is fully possible. Not saying that you're going to have to use the manpower of the commission to be able to do that. But I think a polling station would be great. I also think something, like I said, talked about the t-shirts, but also just something that makes people aware of the dates. You have basically that alley where most students walk in from the bus stop. Something there that shows dates. And I know we had modified campaigning this year that people hosted signs that had all the dates located on the signs. But still, a lot of students are running right through just to avoid being, talked to through it. So I think if you have something that is just completely neutral, that's based just, voting, in order to increase the voting turnout, that includes the dates, it includes the times that it spans from, so that people are fully aware that the majority of West Campus students, whether it's over next to Wayner or it's also in where the Ag Cafe is, they see that and they understand the dates, that you will have a lot more student turnout because it's neutral. People want to participate and they don't feel like they're obligated or that they don't want to. They have the tunnel vision where they're just walking through the doors because of people yelling at them on both sides to vote for a certain individual. So I think the polling station, to answer your question, the polling station is feasible, but it would require a lot more manpower from the commission's perspective. And you could implement it, but it might be a little bit more difficult than just having a set of booth stations.
Right. So that's what I'm talking about, just having a booth.
Yeah. You would still have to have someone manning that booth. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Senator Van Dyne.
Hi, Matt Van Dyne. Have you ever been a candidate or associated with the campaign, and if so, how would you apply those experiences to your job as commissioner?
I actually do not. While I've supported candidates in the past, I've never worked on a campaign. So if we define as changing my profile picture for someone, then you can say that you can establish that as a campaign. It was my freshman year. As being on the election commission, of course we can't support a campaign, but my involvement in the campaign freshman year was literally just changing a profile picture and word of mouth. So I think a lot of that, while I don't really have anything to bring from a campaign side, I more so have something to bring from a neutral perspective, that I've really never campaigned for a candidate, that everything is a neutral playing field, and that we are here to establish a fair place for all candidates to run, and that they feel like no single candidate is getting the upper hand.
Senator Esparza.
Chris Esparza off campus. What are your thoughts on moving the election commission under the judicial court?
I think my thoughts on moving the election commission to judicial court, while I think the judicial court is actually, of course, it's the judicial branch, while they're, the rulings, I think the election commission needs to stay under an executive branch because you have the representative, you have a person that's within the executive branch that is completely neutral in everything that will allow for candidates to be elected. I don't think that really the job responsibilities of the election commission would fall under the judicial branch. If that's just more blatantly, more honest. I don't think the job responsibilities are the same, because our job, of course, is to enforce, fair elections for everyone. But that, as the judicial court with the ruling what is right and wrong, that's really not, in my opinion, what the election commission represents, and I think it should stay within the executive branch.
Senator McDonald.
Yes, I heard you talk about working closer with RHA next year with election policies and whatnot. How would you feel about the Vice President for Policy and Advocacy / Elections serving directly with you on your commission next year?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I have to look at it. They would have to fit a certain criteria to serve on the election commission. We have certain spots, such as compliance officer, director of finance. We would have to revamp the structure of it to find out where the individual would fall under the commission, the actual structure, so that you don't have two people serving as the same job. So you have overlap and you have people that aren't working. So I think it's important that that would be a feasible option, but it would have to revamp the actual organizational structure of the election commission.
Chair Harris.
Chair Harris, Steve Harris. What do you think about potential candidates being able to see how many people are running for a certain office? So to explain that a little bit better, off campus usually has the most amount of people running, or has the most spots, so people naturally want to run for that. And this year we had 60 some odd people. 69 people run for that position, so some people wanted to move to other offices, and there's a little bit of confusion about whether they can actually look at that information or not.
You're not referring to, let me just clarify, one individual running on two different spots, right? You're just saying for being able to choose. To switch. Okay. Well, that was an active, the election commission took it upon ourselves to make sure that, of course, free fair elections, basically. And so when our commissioner decided last year that we were not going to allow people to switch between the two, it was because that we felt that gave an upper hand to a certain individual. And that's not what we want to represent as a commission. When that ruling was made, or when the old commissioner created that, and it was started to be enforced during filing this past semester, it was because we had 10 people standing around the filing table, and people asking what are the numbers, for all the different positions, which made it really difficult because you had to have, we had 3 people working there that were doing 3 separate things that we couldn't keep a tally, a live count, and so it was making it very difficult on the commission with money going around, which of course, most of you all probably know how sensitive the SOC is with cash handling. So with all that going on, but with also just trying to keep records of who is filing, who is paid, the documentation that's turned in, that it just was getting very hectic for everybody around. But I don't think that live, if you want to call it a live update of how many people are running for a spot is appropriate, because that kind of defeats the purpose of running for a spot that it kind of almost defeats the legitimacy, because you're having the ability to select which spot. If there's, let's say you have 2 spots open in one caucus that only one person's running for, but you can qualify, but you choose to do off campus, well, that automatically, if one person switches over and no one runs against them, automatically gets that spot as long as they get a vote. So I don't feel that that is a legitimate idea, because that's not supporting a fair election, because that person got an upper hand by knowing that that one spot was open because they asked for it, or because, they felt that, they wanted to switch because it would have been an easier ride for them.
Thank you. 10 seconds left. Any quick questions? Yeah, going once, going twice, that's closed. Cool. All right, moving on to Bryce Bender. Any questions for Bryce Bender? Chair Barber.
You're Barber off campus. Who's your favorite politician and why?
Currently or historically?
Currently.
Within SGA, it would have to be you, sir.
Chair's going to encourage us to move along. That's it. Okay, Chair Thornburg.
Rachel Thornburg, College of Agricultural Sciences. There are rumors going around that you are going to be working on a campaign here in the near future. Is that no longer happening? Are you staying in school?
I guess I'll still be in school.
Okay, next we have Chair Barber again on the list.
I'm trying to think of something serious to ask you, Bryce. Having served for 2 years in legislative relations and having seen how it works in a non-session year and in a year in session, what do you see your team looking like next year in terms of how they're going to be structured and how you're going to delegate responsibilities?
Okay, as y'all can look through my legislative plan there, what I want to do with my commission is I want to break it down into the normal commission plus a subcommittee to tackle the student service fee reallocation reform. And along with that, that'll give us the opportunity for those specific people in that subcommittee to focus on one certain issue. And, right now, maybe looking at 4 or 5 people on that subcommittee, with about six or seven in the full commission. And so effectively it's going to be working together with the Senate to be proactive in legislation, because in our legislative agenda now that we've been lobbying for this session in Texas, there's some bills that we're referring to last session. So what we should have done is to write these bills or go to congressmen and senators and see if they would be willing to write them for us. So that way we have something tangible to advocate for other than just an idea.
Okay, Senator Russo. Okay, thank you. Senator Scoggins.
Robert Scoggins off campus. Upon request, would you be able to produce a birth certificate to validate your citizenship?
Cheryl will need that
You get it if you want to. Will a certificate of live birth be okay? Do I need the law? I released that this morning.
I want to see your school records too.
Okay, all right. That's still Senator Scarza. Okay, no question. Senator Barber, or Chair Barber.
Bryce, what do you look going forward into this year with, I was distracted by Senator Seary after my question now. Going forward, how do you maintain relationships with legislators in this off session? So, what does it look like in terms of trips or?
Yeah, even though these congressmen aren't going to be physically in Austin, in their offices, they don't stop being our elected representatives. They still have a team of people working for them, and we can still talk to them and build relationships because, as it stands now, we're still college students. We're not professional lobbyists or anything of that nature. So it really is relationships that get you to that second level where you can actually start doing things and getting things passed in our favor.
Thanks, sir.
All right, Chair Harris.
I guess my question is, and you touched on it a little bit, what do you intend to do on the community level? What are your plans for this year on the community?
The position of LR has been split in between legislative relations, which is state and federal, and a community relations position that I believe is going to be.
Yeah, I'll answer that real quick. We decided to create a new vice president, or not really a new, but split that role because it was under the job description, it was community and state and federal. And so we have a VP of community relations who you will all be receiving her application along with our VP of development's application tonight, right after the meeting for confirmation. So, if we could, hold that question, stand by on that, and ask that.
All right. 30 seconds, Chair Nightingale.
Okay, with the real possibility of a special session being called for the state budget, what are your plans to get our legislation to legislators in time?
Yeah, we already have the legislative agenda that we passed for this session, and so what that's going to entail is during joint session, if confirmed, I plan on working with you and getting specific things that are still pertinent to the issues that they'll bring up during a special session, which are really just budget issues, and we only have 2 or 3 of those in the legislative agenda. So it's going to be getting those passed through again, and so getting lobbying trips to Austin while they're during their special sessions in the summer.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to Crystal Usher for Academic Affairs. I'll see a first question here. Opening bid. Senator Mark Womack.
Hi, Mark Womack off campus. Would you be upset if no one asked you a question?
Not totally. I mean, I feel like I'm one of the most unquestioned people that comes before this body on a regular basis.
Okay, Chair Baker.
Chair Bam off campus. Now, I know you did this last year, but we can always improve on what we do. So what was something that you learned last year that you can apply to this upcoming year?
The biggest thing I learned last year, which was not a recommendation to me when I came into this position, is to have a team. I currently, pending confirmation, will be selecting advocates to work alongside me. As it's laid out right now, I've been doing a job with 4 people, so having 3 or 4 extra people around is going to be really helpful.
Thank you.
Senator Strickland. In leadership roles outside of Senate, one thing I've noticed is that when someone does the same job twice, it's really hard to be motivated that second time to do the same job. So what measures are you going to take to make sure you're motivated? Because everyone agrees you did a tremendous job last year. We're going to make sure you're motivated to do the same job better this year.
Actually, I didn't know that I was going to apply for this position when this last session ended, which is why I ran for Senate, because I thought I was going to be completely tired of this position. That being said, I absolutely am still in love with this position and want to see so many changes that haven't been accomplished and just things that have happened over the past year that I've seen need to be changed. So that being said, just looking at everything that needs to be changed, I'm really super excited about that, but also I think having a team under me to kind of lead them and get them advocating on behalf of students as well will keep me motivated. And then, again, like I said earlier, building relationships has really been a key this past year, and it's something that I desperately want to continue throughout this next year. And I think that having done this position already, it's just more motivation to continue to do that.
Thank you. Senator McDonald.
I guess, Crystal, as student services advocate this year, what has been your greatest triumph, and conversely, what has been your greatest not so triumph?
I'll start with the biggest regret. Is that what you're going for?
There we go.
My biggest regret is that I haven't been able to do a lot with academic advising. Something that, again, pending confirmation, that I really want to focus on is academic advising, and there is an advocate that will be assigned specifically to that, and so that person and I will be working to figure out how to deal with academic advising, because it's a really broad topic and it's very different from department to department. And so that's what I want to continue to work on, but it was my biggest regret from last year. Greatest achievement, I have 2. The community attendance policy as well as the evening exam notification. Both changes to those policies happened without legislation. All it took was to have, for Chris Esparza and I, to sit down with Dr. Martin Gunn, and he has changed positions now, but he got those policies fixed over the summer without us having to do anything really, except sit down and say this is a problem.
Thank you.
Minute and a half, Chair Barber.
Yeah, Jim Barber. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with differential tuition. Can you give me that down there?
Right. Okay. So differential tuition, obviously, we made the decision to apply it to all 4 years of just the upper levels, which is kind of an interesting decision. I'm not sure what they claim to see, because I personally have not seen a huge change with them charging differential tuition. Their class sizes haven't gotten dramatically smaller. That being said, it's being considered in other colleges as well. I know architecture was one of those colleges that was looking at it. They haven't made a final decision on that at all about what they want to pursue or not pursue, but it's something that I'm keeping an eye out for, just because if students are going to be charged differential tuition, they should see a direct benefit from it. I understand that sometimes it can't happen 2 days later, but within a year, they should be able to see that change.
Thanks.
40 seconds, Chair Smith.
Roy Smith on campus. What are 2 major goals you want to see done this next year at the position?
2 major goals. I really want to see the Q-drop deadline extended. It was something that we worked on last year. We got some progress on that, but academic affairs is kind of a slow process, and so it takes a while. That being said, I really want to see that deadline extended, because just this past semester, I've heard plenty of people say if I had a few extra days to decide whether I was going to Q-drop for class or not, that would have made all the difference. So Q-drop deadline, and then
Please finish.
Sure, top 10%.
Okay, that's a fragment, but it was a sentence. With that, I'll move to Daniel Gutierrez for diversity. I'll see a first question. Chair Bain.
Chairman off campus, SPP Pickering said that you don't treat diversity as a smoke bomb, and you know exactly what it is. So I'd like to hear what your definition of diversity is and how you apply that to your position.
Okay, well, kind of the perspective that I got from it was my experience in life, and it came from, I'll just go into both my parents. Okay, my mom is Indian, but she grew up in Kenya, went to school in the United States. My dad is Colombian and Spanish, grew up in Barcelona, went to school in the United States. They both met, and then I happened, and I grew up in Massachusetts, and now I'm here in Texas. So, I mean, with all that, I've had so many experiences to deal with people that think differently from me and have a different perspective on life. And for me, that's what it comes down to. Those differences in cultures, those differences in races, those differences in sexual orientation might be the top line that many people see and might turn a lot of people off. But what is at the core, which people I think should agree on, is that those differences in perspectives that come from those or may not come from those is what really the issue is.
Thanks.
That is my only question so far. Do I see any further questions? Senator Simon.
College of Engineering. I have a question. I think part of what makes this campus very diverse is the international students, because we're all here and we're all doing that. And I'm an international student, so how are you incorporating us into your platform?
Okay, one plan that I actually outlined in my presentation to the top staff was an international tailgate. One thing that my parents, growing up with them and their background is they never really got excited about like American football. They never really did. But here in Texas, it's a religion. So, like, we need it's a big deal. It's a big deal here. So I think that since we have this great thing here, we have an amazing football team, we need to get all students excited about it. And a way that we can get people excited about that is over food. And I think that if we have great tailgates, international tailgates, where international students pair up with some other clubs or other organizations and get together, cook some food, learn about football, if they're legal, pound a few brews, and then go up to Cal Field and beat the hell out of whoever. So.
And I would just kind of touch on that real briefly. One of the things, and I'm sorry because I won't go completely question them, but I was really excited when you brought that up. One of the things after talking to Dr. Butler-Purvis was, what is her specific title? Something to graduate students. I can't remember. They all have such awesome titles. But one thing we talked about was a lot of, if not almost all of our international students are also grad students. And knowing that, that's why international students came up with her. So just a little backstory there. But one thing we talked about was we have international students here who are coming from all over the place. And this university experience, called the Aggie experience, is very, very unique. And they really want to be a part of that. And so one of the biggest things is one thing that Dan did outline is that tailgate. But also something that, this is kind of a crossover. I feel like diversity is very much a crossover thing. Working with Chief of Communication, Chris Tucker, and his team working alongside Dan to reach out to our international students, to bring them to things like Silver Taps. And we're going to have a specific, and I'm thinking about maybe calling almost a grad student or international student to what the Aggie experience is, and taking them and setting up opportunities where we can really invite them more into the Aggie family. So I got excited about your question, so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. We have 1 minute left for questions. I'll hear any motions. No motions? Okay. Technically you can.
I move to extend Q&A by 5 minutes.
I see a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Senator Cobb, we have about a minute.
Okay, Jacob Cobb, College of Edmond. If you could do one thing with in your position, if you get concerned, what would it be as diversity with the diversity community?
Okay, it's going to touch on kind of what Senator Simon said. I want students to go to this university and feel like this is the place where I feel at home, where I can go around and feel like everybody else is my friend, feel like everybody else knows that whatever I bring to the table is just as valuable as whatever they bring to the table. And to know that that there are people here from all parts of the world, Indonesia, to know that there are people here from West Texas that have never been outside of the United States, but love this university. And I just really want the perception across campus to change so that there is a more unified Aggie family.
All right, thank you. With that, it's time for debate, so if you all could please step outside. Give me 1 second to make my sheet here. Okay, this is 15 minutes of debate per candidate with 2.5-minute recognitions. And again, this is for confirming whoever it is for whatever position, and this is against. So with that, we'll begin with Kyle Womack, and I will see debate 4. 4 is Chair McNutt.
Howdy, Thomas McNutt, Student Services.
Howdy.
Thank you. Guys, I know that Kyle got up here and made it seem like we were cool with each other and like on the same team and stuff like that. The truth is that is absolutely true. Anyway, no. Kyle and I have met and spoke. We had several good candidates for this chair position. Bobby Scoggins and I also talked, and we were going to be in good shape regardless of who got it. But I am very excited and in support of Kyle. We have a lot of common ground, and these are simple, non-controversial, non-political issues that we want to tackle. Okay, like getting an on-campus Take Pride in Your Campus Day. Okay, we call it on-campus big event, but we're going to call it something else. But like simple things that we can all agree on, where we all get together and paint and power wash and plant flowers and do things that we would do off-campus on Big Event Day, but every single fall. It'd be awesome. He's got a lot of great plans for dining, etc. And so, guys, I will be the person working hand in hand with whoever we select, or whoever we confirm. And so I do bear the blunt of whatever's going to happen. So I would appreciate it if y'all confirm Kyle Womack. I'm very excited and in support of him taking that role. Thanks and giggle.
All right, thank you. And with that, I will see any debate against. Going once, going twice. Chair deems debate one-sided. With that,
Mr. Speaker, I move to amend the method of voting to a voice vote for every one of these confirmations unless one person is against, in which case it would be a ballot vote.
Okay, Chair, that's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Chair calls division. All in favor, please stand. Yes, this is 2/3. Yeah. So, chairs, we come count.
You just love being here.
I got 32. Against, please stand. Against 16 against. Yeah, that fails. Okay, so with that, I'm sorry, can we vote after each candidate, or can we vote at the end of the period? Yeah, we do vote after each candidate, that's what I thought. Okay, so with that, we'll move into a period of voting. Does everybody have ballots? We do have extras, so oh, and please don't fold your ballots. Please hand your ballots in unfolded.
Are we using the motion ballot?
Yeah, these are motion ballots. I think as long as you make it abundantly clear on the ballot, it counts. Chief Justice, do we agree on that? Yeah, we're agreed on that. So if you use the wrong ballot, it's okay. Just make it clear what you're doing.
Probably shouldn't look at it.
These are secret ballots, so you don't have to tell anybody. If we can please get the ballots in and return to order so we can move on, we do have 4 more candidates to do
Shoes, pants,
Oh, it's okay.
No. I don't feel it
Outstanding ballots, raise them if you got them. Anybody? Okay. If we return to order, we're going to move on. We'll be counting these ballots, and we'll just go ahead and announce them all at the end of all confirmation. So we'll announce all of them at once at the end. So with that, we're moving into 15 minutes of debate for Kyle Jackson for Election Commissioner. I will see Chair Thornburg for.
Rachel Thornburg, Appropriations Chair. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Okay, Kyle Jackson did a lot of work to make sure that you guys are all sitting where you are today. And I talked to him a lot during the election because there were a lot of issues that came up, and Cameron had some family issues that she had to deal with, so she couldn't be around as much as she wanted to. But Kyle did an absolutely amazing job, obviously, because you're all sitting here. And he has a lot of great new ideas for the election regulations, which is what we need at this university, because they've been the same, pretty much the same thing over the past couple of years, and they just need to be changed. And I believe wholeheartedly that he's going to be the one to do this. So please, without objection, vote for him, guys. Thanks again.
There you go. All right. Next, we will see Senator Fleckley against.
I'm just going to say a few things. I've run for office many times on this campus, and I feel like everybody in this room has run for office, and so that we have more experience with elections than does Kyle, because he has not fully participated in one as a candidate. And that concerns me a lot, as he's going to be running these elections without the experience of having gone through one himself. And because there's a lot of things, he's mentioned that he's, neutral in all these issues and topics, but he hasn't had a moment to where he has had to define a stance on these issues. He hasn't been put in that situation to where he has felt the repercussions of these changes in election bylaws and things like that. And so it just really concerns me. And I would like to see an election commissioner that has participated in elections and, every kind of facet available, as opposed to just serving on the election commission for 1 year. And with that, I yield to whoever else is on my side.
That would be out of order. So with that, Chair Barber for.
All right, guys. Like I said, spot that we have to have someone to do it, and Kyle's the right guy for the job by far. Like I said, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. And the fact that we have someone that wants to step up and do it is something incredible. He's going to do a great job. He did a great job this year, and he's going to do a great job in the future. I think Chair Bain would be eager to work with him and working on specific rules and regulations that we can move forward with. And am I out of order to move the previous question?
That would be in order. Yes.
Were there any other applicants for the position of election commissioner?
I am not privy to that information. Does anybody? Yeah. If you go poll student President Pickering, you can answer that.
Does Ryan know?
Right. We'll get it. Pause for a second. Pause the timer. We'll get an answer. I've ever seen a point of information that had to be answered by somebody out of the room. Okay. So the question was whether there were other applicants for election commissioner.
Right, exactly. Well, first of all, I would say that we picked the very best person for the job. It's, I hope that his 15 minutes of question and answer.
I'm going to have to say, just to stay in order, you just need to answer the question.
I'll just say, yes, he's the only person that applied. I know that maybe we should keep all of that stuff internal, and for most of it, I will keep all this kind of documents internal. But I think it's really important to see that election commission is not
this is
all right. Okay.
Sorry. No, it's okay. These are trickier. So you've answered the question. The question's been answered. With that, we'll go back into Chair Barber.
Great. So like we said, my argument still stands that no one wants to do this job at Cosmore.
Stage point.
Was not previous question moved?
No, he asked whether the previous question was in order. Okay.
That I yield to the wiser Womack.
Thank you for acknowledging what most people know to be the truth. I think Mark's point is excellent. However, I would say that just because you run a campaign or are a part of a campaign doesn't give you the hard experience that it takes to be election commissioner. I don't think anybody in this room has run for more things than I have, and I can tell you that I'm in no way qualified to prevent any doubts of bragging, not always successfully. But I have put my name on a piece of paper several times. But that didn't qualify me to run for election commissioner or be election commissioner at all. The best thing you can ask for someone is to be on that side of the campaign, to be an election commissioner person, and to really get that experience, because there's so many things that we don't, as candidates, think about that the election commission has to deal with every day. The number one challenge that election commissioners will face, and you can ask Lopez, Cameron Medlin, or Zach Johnson, is being neutral. And, it's going to be really, really difficult to be neutral. And Kyle Jackson's proven that he can be neutral, and that's extremely important when facing an election commission decision. I think Mark brings up a good point, but I would say we're going to have it one way or the other. We're either going to have someone who is a campaign hack that has been involved in every single campaign for 4 years, and I think that's less advantageous than someone that's been on election commission and can stay neutral. There's only one way or the other, and I prefer to have a neutral election commissioner than someone who's been on other campaigns, been part of a new campaign. That's a lot scarier for me. So I think it's time to move to previous question and confirm Kyle Jackson.
Okay, motion for previous question has been made. There are seconds. All in favor of moving to previous question, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Nay. Chair calls division because I want to be sure. So all in favor, please stand. At 38, all against, please stand. Seems 20 to fail. Okay, wow. Okay. So that passes, so we will now move to a period of voting. Please fill out your ballots, and chairs, please play.
Okay, hey guys, when you fill out the form, you can use any form you want, but if you're using a form that doesn't have the check boxes like for or against, you need to write it either for or against. Okay?
And I have extra ballots for motion, which is amazing, with the check boxes if you need them.
I wouldn't let Thomas pick it up. I couldn't burn it. I was saying that. I'm sorry.
Any outstanding ballots? Any outstanding ballots? Okay, I don't see any, so we're going to go ahead and move on. This is, let me see who our next candidate is. Yes. So this is Bryce Bender for LR. So. Sorry, I made Okay, debate for Chair Barber.
In the interest of everybody's time, since I've been cautioned once on our bromance side, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. If anybody is qualified for this job, it's Bryce Bender. If there's any doubt in your mind about that, look at the freaking book he wrote about LR next year. It's being passed around. With that, I give it the floor.
Okay, that's done. Any debate against? Going once, go up. Senator Lindsay Sullivan.
I think he would be good to stay in Senate. I mean, I know that he really wants that job, but I think he's a really great senator, and we need really good senators. That's the only bad thing you can say against Bryce, in my opinion.
Okay, seeing that, debate forward. Okay, motion for previous question has been made. Is there a second for previous question? Is there a second? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Opinion to chair that passes. We will now move to previous voting. Chairs, please collect ballots.
I was waiting for you, and I was like, I'm waiting.
Oh, ballots. My ballot. I wish I
Just a reminder, if you use the right ballot, you have to write for, against, or abstain. If you don't write either, then we're going to assume you abstain.
Okay, any outstanding ballots? I see none. We will move on to debate for Crystal Usher. I will see the debate for Crystal. Okay, Chair Bain.
Crystal Usher is doing an awesome job. She knows what she did last year and how she can improve on it. I can't see any reason why there would be somebody better than her. So that's all I'll say about that.
Okay, debate against Crystal Usher for academic affairs. Going once, going twice. Debate is one-sided. We'll move to a period of voting for the college ballots. Chairs, please poll.
Yes. I was just curious. Yeah, I'm good. I guess you just argue. Everybody, you're welcome.
One job search.
Here, okay, we can see all the shades, all the stuff. Yeah, you just want me to take the election. It's kind of like, officials left in the so like,
You all right? We're good.
Executive Vice President. We formally intend to get 3 generations of our family in Senate. Yeah, she's
That's how the entire Senate website crashed. Didn't somebody do that one time? Can I put my No, somebody definitely tripped on the cord inside of that includes everything.
Yeah. Howdy, possibly off-campus
Okay, any outstanding ballots? I see none. We'll move it We'll continue. Okay, this will be Dan Gutierrez for diversity. Do I see debate before? Senator Mark Wilmatthew.
Howdy. Daniel Gutierrez is amazing. He's been on the Development Commission for a while now. He's worked with programming. He's worked with advocacy. What'd I say? I meant development. Diversity. Say it again. He's worked with Archana. He put on Model UN last year. He's done a great job not only on the programming side, but also on the advocacy side, looking at specific issues, things that Dr. Stanley's office would handle. That's a really twofold things that diversity deals with, and Daniel Gutierrez is knowledgeable of all aspects of that. I cannot think of a better person with that. I yield to papers.
Freshman year, Dan Gutierrez came up to me and we talked about things he can get involved in SGA, and the only thing he wanted to do is diversity. And he's got this whole map of what he wants to do. He's done UN stuff. I do want to point out he's modeled before. That's not relevant. Dan really does have a good heart for this. I do think he's the best person for the job, and he has my support. And I yield. Chair Bond.
I really want to go to a international tailgate. That would be so awesome. Like, I cannot wait for that. So, if any reason, let's get that one.
And that ends that recognition. Debate against. Going once, going twice, seeing none, debates one-sided. Please fill out your ballots. Chairs, please collect.
There it is. Oh my goodness. Or just have ours.
Oh, I should
Freshman year winner. Get on my level. It's just ridiculous. Get on my level. Get on my level. Get on my level. No, we don't need to go yeah, I agree with that because I was in
We'll go ahead and take an unofficial breather as soon as we get these tallied. I'll let you all know, and then we'll bring them back in. I'm going to go ahead and announce the results so that we can bring them back in and confirm or not. So Kyle Jackson. Oh. Yeah. Can we return order, please? Go ahead and come back in because we're going to just keep trucking along after I read this out. So get back to your seats, please. Wow, there's a lot of people. Yeah, I guess buying snacks or something. We have quorum, so we're going to go ahead and keep moving along. That'd be good. So I'm going to go ahead and announce. So Kyle Jackson for election commissioner. We have 44 and 12 against. It's 2/3, right? Yeah, so that passed. Yeah. So Womack for remind me. SS. Thank you. 45 for, 3 against. We have Bender. We have 54 for, 1 against. So that passes. Usher passes unanimously with 52. And then Gutierrez, we have 45 for, 3 against, 4 abstentions. So all the candidates have been confirmed. So we can bring them back in.
Take it off and we come in.
Yeah.
Nobody applaud. Just sit there. Just sit there. Just stare at the mic. It's totally worth it.
Did it not go well? What is it?
Go ahead. Come back in. Okay. So we tallied the results, and y'all passed.
departments for everyone.
If you're counting, that's 7.
All right. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Kyle Bender,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
To faithfully execute to the best of my ability.
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
The office of, state your office.
the office of Vice President of Student
For the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
And at all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
and at all times to protect the welfare of the student body
And to promote good relations between the students.
and to promote good relations between the students
And those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and return to business now. I have to give a brief explanation and then I'm going to entertain a motion. So IA did pass out of committee to do ops committee confirmations tonight, and we had a snafu in communication. Nobody noticed it until tonight. That didn't make it on the agenda. So since it's not on the agenda 48 hours out, it would be out of order to go ahead and continue. So I'm going to entertain a motion to suspend the bylaws and do the confirmations for ops committee. Motion by Senator Syrier, seconded by Chair Harris. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? And we'll continue. Okay, thank you. So we have 10 minutes for presentation, 5 minutes for Q&A, and 15 minutes for each member of the ops committee.
Motion to amend the rules of the presentation.
Okay, state your motion.
I want 5 minutes for presentation, 5 minutes of debate, 2.5 minutes each side, and 3 minutes of Q&A.
Okay, so the motion is 5 minutes presentation, 3 minutes Q&A, 5 minutes debate per candidate, 2.5 minutes, 1 recognition each side. That's the motion. It's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, it passes. So that is our rules. So 5 minutes for presentation.
Mr. Speaker, I move to consider all Operations Committee candidates on the slate and confirm them all at once.
Okay, and that would be under the 5 minutes, 2.5 recognition each side. That motion's been made. It's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, that passes. 10 minutes. Do it. Yes. Everybody can come up. 5 minutes starting at half.
Okay. Howdy, guys. I hope you all know by now that I'm Amanda Hafe, and I'll be the president for this coming session. And before me, I have 4 members of the operations committee that I have selected. Basically, if you all want to briefly introduce yourselves.
I'm Carlos Falcade, and I'm helping to be the director of marketing.
I'm Kaylin Stevens, and I'm hopefully your executive director of operations.
And I'm Joseph Puente, and hopefully to be the director of communication.
I'm Natalie Westward, hopefully to be the director of development.
And for those of you that don't really know what those positions each do, basically the operations committee is charged with internal operations for the Senate, and specifically the director of marketing acts as a liaison with the media, serves as a consultant to senators when corresponding with the battalion and other news outlets, and also will focus on the branding of Student Senate and other marketing plans. The executive director of operations will oversee this committee, and with me, they will take minutes and they will assist me with any duties as far as running the internal operations. The director of communications will publicize Senate vacancies, publicize Senate votes, anything that goes on. They'll be the direct point of contact for communication as the Senate towards the rest of the campus, and they will also serve on the CA committee. And then lastly, the Director of Development was previously the Director of Admin. It's been revamped a little bit. Basically, they'll oversee all fundraising initiatives for the Student Senate. They'll reach out to alumni to hopefully create an endowment. They'll work on financial allocations with the Appropriations Chair, and they'll also focus on development of the senators, so they'll help plan development tape. And basically that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, we've got 5 minutes for question and answer, 3 minutes, starting with Chair Harris.
Jody Harris, constituency of Harris. This is for the directors of communication and marketing.
Since you do sit on the constituency affairs committee, have you given any consideration to kind of what your involvement will be with the CA and kind of what you hope to see from the CA committee?
I think it's just him and
Yeah.
Should be both of them as
Not for the
Thursday.
bylaws, but I'm sure we could talk about that in another.
It was in the new bylaws.
Okay, well, then sure.
Okay, well then.
The words have changed, so.
I mean, I'd be open to talking about it. Because I really didn't know that was a thing. So.
Right, yeah. And I think, I mean, as part of the operations committee, it's more of a learning process as a 64th session. I mean, we kind of really, with the 63rd session, kind of set a stigma as the Senate. And I think we're all open to all senators to think of ideas, but really, we know that we're the voice of the student population, we're there to represent them in a positive manner. So, we're all open to ideas and just willing to work with you all.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator LaCivita.
Senator Wastavika, College of Agri-Life Sciences. This is for the communications. What initiatives will you take in order to kind of smooth over Senate and battalion or media relations?
Right. Well, I'm excited actually for this position coming here because, of course, the 63rd session really didn't have the best reputation throughout the year. I mean, I'm not going to go into the Senate bills, but definitely I think working with the senators in general and knowing y'all one-on-one, having an interpersonal communication is important in order to actually have Senate bills brought to the attention of the students and to really just work with the battalion to know that I personally know what y'all have in mind and what y'all's concentration is. And so students out there who read the battalion know, what the objectives are of, whatever authors who want to come forward to a bill. Just so we can all, the students and the student senate, we're all on the same page and the students don't think of the student senate as we're all out to get them at the same time.
Okay, we got about 50 seconds left, Chair Barber.
Yeah, Drew Barber off campus. You mentioned a lot of the negative stigma that went on with the 63rd session, so could you point to some things that you would like to see done positive in the 64th session?
Well, as a 64th session, this is actually my first year being involved with Student Senate. But positive things I would like to see change is just communication with senators and director of communication as myself, and communications with the battalions and the other organizations around campus. So organizations know that they have the opportunity to come forward during every Wednesday night and speak their opinions, and also so the senators know that the battalion will provide, the truth and not just an opinion from another organization.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, and with that, we have expired, question and answer. So we will move into a period of debate. If y'all can all please step out of the room.
I don't know how to turn this off.
Steve, do you have a point?
Don't debate. I don't know how to turn this off.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The one guy who knows how to work the camera.
I don't actually know.
Just stop here.
Yeah, let's just go and stop.
I state your name. I, do solemnly swear. To faithfully execute to the best of my ability.
To the best of my abilities.
The office of State Office.
The Office of Communications.
For the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
For the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
And at all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
And at all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
And to promote good relations between the students.
To promote good relations between the students.
And those concerned with the university.
And those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you. Our next and last official or business item on the agenda is caucus leader elections. Now, I need to explain real briefly. The method by which we elect caucus leaders is not outlined in the bylaws, so we're about to enter my world where I determine what goes. So that being said, I'm about to give Chair Harris a couple of minutes to explain to you, because as we said, a lot of this changed last week. We amended the bylaws so that the definition of a caucus leader has changed. So he will take a couple of minutes to explain that to you. We will then move into an unmoderated caucus to do these elections, and I'll explain that when we get to that point. But first of all, Chair Harris.
Okay, so what is a caucus leader? Basically, every caucus elects a representative to the CA committee. It's kind of like the Senate within Senate. What is the CA committee? Basically, they handle anything that relates to constituents. They let senators know what constituents think. They let constituents know what senators are doing. They're basically like, I guess, for lack of a better term, a super senator. They do everything a senator's supposed to do, and they do it more, I guess. Basically, the way this will work, every caucus will elect one caucus leader, with the exception of off-campus engineering and liberal arts. Engineering and liberal arts will elect 2 caucus leaders, and off-campus will elect 6 caucus leaders. And that's based on the amount of senators that they have in the caucus. If anybody, before I guess we go any further, does anybody have any questions about specifically what a caucus leader is or any of this?
Yes, my quick question, and I'll phrase the point of information just to stay in order, because you know how of a stickler I am about that.
There is no order for this because it's not outlined in the bylaws.
Chaos! I got scared. Really quickly, because our caucus, and some of the other caucuses, but not quite as much as off campus, is largely magnanimous. What format would you suggest? I was kind of thinking maybe it would just be people running for caucus leaders stand over there, they give like 30-second speech, and then we vote. Would that be a possible universal format to prevent chaos?
Yes, for the bigger caucuses, I would suggest something like that. And what we'll do, we'll tell off-campus to stay in here, and the smaller caucuses will ask to go outside on the couches, or maybe even in this little room or this hallway over here, just so you can have some peace and discern this among your caucus. But please do let everybody that wants to be a leader of your caucus, let them have their say, let them have their 30 seconds to say why they want to do this.
Thank you. Sorry.
Is there any other questions?
Do you know about what time meetings are going to be on Sundays?
Yes, they should be on Sundays. They're usually late Sunday night. It allows you to have time to get back. If you went away for the weekend, you have time to get back to campus. And something, this year CA is going to be a little bit different. Last year and in the years previous, you had your regular committee, and then you were on CA as an extra type of thing. This year, CA can replace your regular committee if you would like. And you are already on, you're the CPC liaison, you're already on CA, by the way. All liaisons are already on CA.
Well, not actually for the 64th confirmed yet.
Okay.
Yet.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Pending your honor. Okay, sure, she got one from Senator Major.
I just have a question. As caucus leader, you're in touch with people of your caucus. Now, do you have to go to the other committees to talk about issues that are important to your caucus? Is that what?
You can. You have that option. It's not mandatory. It's kind of as it fits into your schedule. Unless you decide that you want to be a voting member of one of those committees, and then that changes the game. Then you are required to the committee's rules.
You got one from Senator Morath.
You were describing that you were going to break it up into 3 different subcommittees.
Yes.
Is that what? Can you explain this a little bit?
Yes, there will be 3 subcommittees. One will deal with surveys. That's a very important part of the Constituency Affairs Committee, getting surveys and getting them out before legislation comes up to a vote. We'll be working with senators in that aspect, so we'll be looking at a subcommittee chair for surveys, a subcommittee chair for all the events that we do, a little bit of the outreach, the opinion tables, that sort of thing. And there'll be a subcommittee for like marketing, maybe putting some sandwich boards out here, doing some other things besides events to market the Student Senate specifically. And so if you want to be a subcommittee chair, you must be a caucus leader.
Okay, any further questions before we have our little breakout? One more thing.
Okay, for voting, the way you'll vote for this, if you're in a caucus other than those three that I listed a while ago, you will vote just like you've been voting on a ballot, and that'll get turned in. If you're in liberal arts or engineering or off campus, you will have one ballot, and you will write either for liberal arts and engineering, you'll write 2 names. For off campus, you'll write 6 names on that one ballot. And please make it legible because the ballots are small.
You got one from Senator Spencer real quick.
Right on the back, yes.
Senator Spencer has a question.
I'm sorry.
In the 63rd session, the College of Engineering currently does not have any caucus leaders. Is there now a method of replacing one who leaves?
Thank you very much. Yes. So everybody in the 63rd session that left just so happened to be a caucus leader. So at the end of the year, we didn't have any caucus leaders. So basically, we had 3, I believe, something like that. And so in this new bylaws amendment that we made last Thursday in the 63rd session, we do now, it is mandatory at the very next meeting it must be replaced.
You got Lindsay Sullivan and Jamie Herring.
Are caucus leaders also responsible for like internal caucus bonding?
That they are, and they should have. They should definitely have senators' emails, phone numbers. They should be getting in touch with senators. For off-campus, I'd like to see it broken up to where you have maybe 4 senators, but for every 1 caucus leader, so that you can get to know those 4 senators a little bit better, be a little bit more like the other caucuses. And so, if there's any questions about that.
Thank you.
Point of information. I was going to ask what the caucus bonding entails, but you said at the 63rd session we would be electing caucus leaders. Is that at the last meeting of the 63rd session?
No, I'm saying that takes place for this. I mean, certainly we won't elect caucus leaders for a session that's visiting.
Okay. And then Daniel Hernandez over in the corner there. Sure.
I'm sorry.
What if I'm the only one in my mom?
What caucus is that? That's a good point because Tanner is the other person. Congratulations.
He is our first caucus leader for the 65th session. There may be maybe 1 or 2 other caucuses. I don't know. It could happen to like geosciences or UA if one of those is a chair, but
he's just not here.
Oh yeah, okay. So anyways, that's kind of a de facto decision. But with that, I'll make one further comment before we break out. The discussion has been had as to, especially after kind of the events of the last week, that senators are responsible for communications with their constituents. Senators are responsible for maintaining listservs, that kind of thing. Those statements have been made in the paper. What I'm going to suggest is that the responsibility to maintain listservs, Facebook pages, all that kind of stuff should fall to the caucus leaders. That's the way we did it back in 61st session. That's what I did when I was a Northside caucus leader. So I would say definitely centralize that responsibility in your caucus leaders. Amanda, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Do chair positions and, for example, like the chairs and stuff like that, are they allowed to be caucus?
I would say my ruling on that would be yes. Chairs. I'm definitely on it for obvious reasons, but other chairs are allowed to be caucus leaders to the best of my knowledge, and I haven't heard anybody suggest otherwise. So with that, here's how we're going to do it. If you are in a caucus that is not off campus, I'm going to ask that you please leave the room and go find somewhere else to do your business. Off campus, stay in here. I'm going to start the timer. 15 minutes. 15 minutes of unmoderated caucus. If you're done, please come back. Because if it doesn't take 15 minutes, I don't want us to take 15 minutes. So with that, let's start the timer.
We're doing this in 5 minutes.
Wait, whoa. 30 seconds.
Okay, be quiet. This is how it starts. It's not nice. But initially, absolute service. Really quickly, you just divide yourself into stand up there as a group, alright? I think, what is 30 seconds a minute? 30 seconds speech on why you are, then we will vote based on the spelling of their name, talk to that person individually, we will submit our ballots and be done with this in 5 minutes. Okay, is everyone good with that? Alright, so if you're interested in running for Congress leader, stand there. Get far away from this because Howdy! The rest of the room that's not off campus, y'all be quiet. We're trying to do some serious off campus.
Seriously?
Get out! Okay, so really quickly, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so
9 Sullivan.
there's another Sullivan. Okay, so just really quickly, Paul Bain, our guy extraordinaire, said that even though Rachel Sullivan is not here, she's going to run. Lindsay's going to give you a few words about that. Whatever, I don't care. So, really quickly, in the order that you are now, you get 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, I will say stop, and you'll stand over there. All right, and then you will write down 6 names. You guys are also eligible to vote, just so you know. And then, I don't even know. I guess we'll give the ballot to Glasheen, and he can rest the map. So he's not doing it.
Don't shred him.
All right, so really quickly, go down and just say your name and your class year, so we know who you are before you start talking. Okay, yeah, just go now. 30 seconds, you got it.
Howdy, my name is Trevor Brown. I am a sophomore, 2013, political science major. I feel like I bring a fresh thing to it. I know how to tie a bow tie. I like to bring fresh faces in. I'm not afraid to tell you if I disagree. You know, I feel like we're the best classmates in the
Okay, what's your name?
Trevor Brown.
Trevor Brown.
Like the color.
Actually, this will help. Hold your placard. We'll start voting. Time to hide.
My name's Dr. Judd. I'm class of 2013. And if we're being honest, I just want to become a senator. But I'm a communications major, so I really want to go with your names and educate out there, get people to know who they are and what we do. That's it. Thanks.
Howdy, my name is Lindsay Sullivan. I'm class of 2012. And I would love to have a job of the person who gets to help set up hangouts and keep communication going. I want to be really fun off campus. I've talked like Facebook group chats every meeting, and I'll already be in the committee, so I'm not trying to do it for committee reasons. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Howdy, I'm sitting in for my sister Rachel Sullivan, class of 2014. And she couldn't make it to Senate tonight, but that won't be all the time, I promise. She's taking one of her absences. And she's really sweet. She's got really good ideas for like hangouts and other things like that too. She's really organized, and she's really pretty.
Howdy, I'm Nicole Heath. I'm a sophomore ag comm major. I want to be caucus leader because I'm organized. I go to the meetings anyways, and I go to most off committee meetings, at least when I have time to. I've already done quite a few constituent stuff this semester with like roll around the talent, what's his face, Dr. Lockton, and a bunch of other stuff. Actually, since we are off campus, I'd like to work with Drew since he is the community relations person, and I figure we are serving the people who live off campus. So that's that. Oh, I don't have my phone. So I'm
Nicole Heath. Excellent. All right. Stay focused, people.
Alright, howdy, my name is Matt Coulter. I'm a sophomore business major. And basically I have 2 main plans. Number 1, I plan on attending every single off-campus student meeting, versus every other week on Monday nights. So it's my main goal, and hopefully there I want to talk to somebody and see if we can like maybe do a presentation, like say every other meeting, so we can keep them up to date on what we're doing in the Senate. And then also I'd like to get some kind of organization with listservs, so hopefully we have just one off-campus senator controlling the listservs, although if anyone wants to get on the game, that's good too, but those are my 2 main plans. Thanks guys. Thank you.
Howdy, my name is Matt Van Dyne, junior biology major. I ran for Senate solely on the basis that I could be an unfiltered conduit between the students and the Senate in both ways. So I feel like constituency affairs is a place that embodies all those passions, and that's why I ran. Thank you, Matt Van Dyne. So I really feel like that would be the perfect place for me to just do what I came here to do. Thanks again.
Alright, howdy, my name is Robert Scoggins. I've been a caucus leader twice. I'm the former executive director of communication for Student Government Association. I wrote the Senate communication plan. If you look at Jody Harris and Chris Tucker's communication plan, you'll notice there's a lot of overlap in the communication proposals that I've written in the past. So if you have any questions about what I would do in the position, feel free to refer to those. My name is Robert Scoggins.
I'm a baller.
Howdy, Mark Sleffley. One thing that we've already decided to start working on the front row, me and Nolan and Caroline have started a group, Facebook group, so we can chat within meetings. We as off-campus wield a lot of power within Student Senate. There's a lot of us, and that's a lot of votes, and we need to use those to do things that are important for our caucus, as well as try to make a decision about issues like that. I would love to help to try to be the face of this caucus, and I feel like I would do a great job at that, and it'll be a good time. Mark Sleffley.
Okay, excellent. So, Brody, can you come up here? Everybody on some sort of sheet of paper, write 6 names. Put it up there on the table. If you're running for caucus, stand in front and hold your placard because we're not.
I'll take ballots to go as well.
So you can give your ballots to Brody or to Drew Barger. You guys stand in front so we can see your names.
That's cool.
Stand in front.
That's a good one.
Just go down there.
You should have know the first time.
Hey, congratulations. Thank you. It's kind of a problem. I mean, you kind of figured it last year, maybe.
This year, I was in it this year.
Oh, this year, yeah.
Rachel here. She's not here. She's not here. I love how